I want to very quickly demonstrate how we can also download multiple items from Google Scholar, because Google Scholar is another very useful search engine. And this time I will look at the Google Scholar and say search for genre awareness. So now we've got a lot of items awareness, and one thing we can do is we can just click on the yellow envelope here. This is again the web connector, but this time because there are multiple items, web connector can recognize. So there's like a folder logo here. So if you just click on this, there will be a Windows pop up. We could select all. We can click OK. So this is how Zotero will be able to download all the items on this particular page. But we have to be careful here because the metadata here may not be 100% accurate. That's number one. And number two, for some reason, Google Scholar is trying to block the efforts of automatically downloading its metadata. So if you are downloading 10 items at a time, it should be okay. But if you change, for example, you change the display item into 100 or something, and you start downloading 100 results in one go, and Google Scholar will block your IP. I tried that before. So you have to exercise some restraint when you download the data. But I guess, we may not need that much data anyway at one time. But I think what's at stake here is that Google just don't want to share the data with people in a large scale. So that's another operation. Basically, we use Google Scholar. We can download the items from Google Scholar, but we don't necessarily have the PDF with that operation, depending on whether Google Scholar has got the PDF available. And then the next thing I want to talk about is the cited by function of Google Scholar. I think this is actually a very useful function independent from Zotero, but we can also try to take advantage of this function when we use Zotero to manage our literature. So what I'm talking about here is the fact that Google Scholar is trying to track all the articles that cite the research articles in the database. So if you click on the link here, you will be able to see that this is the item on genre, a particular item on genre awareness. This article is actually pretty good because it was published in 2011 and it's already been cited by 46 times. Because in fact, if you look at the research articles overall, the majority, or probably 80% of the research articles will never be cited. Right? So an article being cited by 46 is pretty good. What I'm trying to say here is this particular feature, cited by, can be very useful because this is how we can track the follow-up studies. So what we can do is go to cited by. That would list this 46 items. I'm not sure whether it's on the same page. It's not. So actually one thing we could do is go to the setting, and then we can change the cited results only 20. The point is that we can again use the Zotero item selector through the web connector, and we can import all the items. I think this can be very useful when we're trying to do some initial literature review. We look at one research article. If that article looks promising, we should use this feature of cited by in Google Scholar to download all the other articles. I mean, we don't necessarily have to use select all. One thing we could do, just go through all the items here very quickly. We look at the titles. We will have an idea, whether they are relevant, and then we can be a little bit more selective when we import the items into our Zotero collection. This is actually a very important point because once we start using Zotero, if you don't sort of try to have this so-called information diet, very quickly your collection will build up. The size can grow very fast. I'm not going to say exponentially, but it will grow fast. As a result, it will become overwhelming, and that will become counterproductive.
So you as the researcher have to manually filter to some degree as well. And that's when you're really optimizing Zotero, right?
Right, exactly. So I'm saying that we are not supposed to simply say, because we have select all item, so we should import everything. That's not probably not a good thing to do. Even though if you just get started with using Zotero, it's very tempting to say, oh, we have all these items, go ahead and import it.
Ultimately, you have to screen it out anyway. If you're
right, exactly. So, yeah, I would say information diet is definitely something we have to practice, especially in this age with all the information available. But that will be something, probably a topic on another day, to teach students how to be more selective when it comes to information gathering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think the idea here is that cited by function can be very useful for snowballing.
Okay.
Once you find one research article that is promising, you use cited by function, you can find a bunch of other articles, and then you can go on and on that process. In addition to looking at the reference section, to look at the research articles before a particular article. So if we look at the research on both direction, backward and forward, very quickly we will be able to build a body of literature